We're talking LA Kings with special guest Carrlyn Bathe on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years, co-host of the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the last 18 years, and a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. The Kings, of course, have 2 weeks off for the Four Nations face-off, and that gives us more of a chance to have some special interviews. And joining us today is a very familiar face to all of you Kings fans. You most likely know her as a host and reporter for the FanDuel Sports Network, but she has been in that role with Fox Sports and Bally Sports and also a number of other different roles with the LA Kings. She is, of course, the wonderful Carrlyn Bathe. Hey, Carrlyn, how are you? And thanks for joining us.
What an intro. Thank you, Eddie. Oh, my goodness. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad to have you on. We had you on about a year ago, and it's good to have you back. And I hope this doesn't sound creepy at all.
Oh gosh!
But I Googled you.
Yes.
And I did that just maybe something pops up that I didn't think about asking you or something. Who knows, right?
Sure,
so
yeah.
I typed in your first name, and it's Carrlyn.
Yes.
And you were the only thing that came up. It is all you. Apparently, there's no other Carrlyn out there in the world. Now, if you Google Eddie Garcia, you're going to get a lot of other things before you find me. He's a police chief in Dallas. There was like some legendary Filipino actor that I didn't know. But anyway, how unique is your name? Have you ever come across any other Carrlyns?
It's funny you ask that because yes, I have, but none of us spell it the same. So I've come across, I think, 5 total in my lifetime, and I'm in my 30s now, and I have never met someone that spells it with 2 R's. And the reason mine is spelled with 2 R's is my mom's maiden name is Carr, Carr. And I didn't have a name for the first few days I was in the hospital. She almost named me Brittany, I believe, at one point. And she just kind of decided to go with that name and incorporate her own unique spelling to carry on her maiden name. So have yet to find someone with the double R, and it sure confuses a lot of people. Some people are like, shouldn't it be Carrlyn? Is there an O in there? What's going on? So it's very unique, and I love it, but it's come with a lot of different pronunciations and all that jazz, but it's been fun having that name.
Well, it's a beautiful name, and it's unique, and it makes you stand out. And I had people tell me when I started my broadcasting career, you need to pick another name because that's too generic. And I'm like, you know what? That's my name. I'll be okay. You don't have to Google me and, whatever. That's fine.
I only know Eddie Garcia, all right?
Is that right?
You.
All right. Well, that's something then. I did talk with Zach Dooley, the Kings insider, recently. It was right after you guys came back from the long road trip. And it was kind of like 2 road trips almost back to back. And I know that was a bit of a challenge for all involved. And you guys have been on the road a lot, started the season on a long road trip as well. I just wanted to ask you how challenging that has been from your perspective and maybe compared to past seasons.
Well, the road, it always presents itself with challenges, no matter how long the trip is, no matter how stacked they are. There's so much room for variability. You can get sick on the road. You can get injured on the road. Something can happen with your family on the road. And this isn't just, having to do with me, but the team-wide, personnel-wide. So it is challenging. This year has been extremely challenging, I feel like. And, if I'm saying that, then I always feel for the players who, we show up, we don't have to exercise and play this whole 60-minute game, and sometimes with overtime and a shootout. We don't have to do all that. We're standing still. And so I look at how I feel at the end of a road trip, and I only feel even more for the players who are kind of going through it. But it is challenging. That one in December, I don't think people understood how challenging that one was. I mean, you're gone for pretty much what feels like the whole month. It's the holiday season. Families had to decorate their homes early before we left. People are putting their trees up in the first week of December. And then you kind of say, all right, see you later, and then come back, a day before Christmas Eve or so. And it's taxing on the heart, but it's for the love of the game. So I know all of these guys and all of the staff, we love this team, and we put that first, and try to kind of take care of ourselves in the process. But I'm sure you can hear it. My voice is a little scratchy. It's been a drain on my health too. But I just want to give a special shout out to the staff, Eddie, because it's really the glue that holds us all together, not just the players. So, if somebody's coming down with something, Chris Kingsley, head athletic trainer, can, be on the scene and kind of help out. If there's food poisoning, if there's, bronchitis, what have you, things happen. And boy, did they happen this season. And there's just so much staff that are around to be able to help not just the players, but us. And it really feels like one big family. But yeah, and these guys, just to give fans some insight too, you're watching them on your screens, you're being entertained. They love playing the game, but you got to remember their family's back at home. Adrian Kempe's got a baby on the way. Darcy Kemper, before we left on one of our road trips, he's thinking like, I don't know if, when my wife's going to be due, but she's due at this time, but it could be any time. He could have to fly home in the middle of a road trip. So these are humans with these lives back at home that they're leaving behind. So it's a lot of stuff that's being juggled while everyone at home gets to watch the beautiful game on their televisions.
Well, it certainly can be a challenge, but I'm sure there are some very cool moments as well, getting to see the country. I did ask Zach Dooley this. I'll ask you, do you have a favorite away arena or a favorite away city that you enjoy visiting maybe more than the others?
What did Zach say? I forget. What did he? Do you remember?
He said Little Caesars Arena in Detroit was one of his favorite arenas, and he said the Florida Panthers, as far as like Fort Lauderdale, was his favorite place.
Okay, so I'll piggyback off that. I'll start there. We love going to Florida. We got a day off there this year. There's a golf course that we reached out to a few years ago.
You saw
the footage.
Mm-hmm.
So they've become kind of our pit stop on the road, no matter what. So we go to Coral Ridge Country Club. We take everybody out, and they give us clubs and waters and balls and tees, and we just kind of have a little bit of a break. So that's so nice to be there. I've got, friends that are there. I have an aunt who's there. So it's nice to see friends and family too. So in that regard, one of my favorite places to visit, but not to play in, is Edmonton. I've got family up in Edmonton and Toronto, and I'm half Canadian. So there's a bunch of family kind of sprinkled throughout Canada. But arena wise, Montreal, probably one of the best. You guys saw that on full display with the Four Nations tournament. It seats so many fans, and the vibe is just so historic feeling. You feel like you're stepping into a piece of hockey history. Everywhere you look around the arena, hockey is celebrated, and they have, I'm sure you've heard this, Eddie, some of the best hot dogs in the league. They grill them
have heard
up.
That, yeah.
Yes, every day up in the press room. I'll get 2 or 3, and then somebody on our team is usually participating in a hot dog eating contest throughout the game as well, which is happening behind the scenes. So that's one of my favorite arenas, just for the nostalgia. The Little Caesars Arena is beautiful just because of how new and updated it is. Has really broadcast friendly locations for us to do our jobs. But yeah, those are some of the highlights for sure for traveling on the road.
I saw you posted on X Twitter, by the way, at Carrlyn Bathe. In Columbus, they had you right next to the cannon.
Yes.
For people that don't know, they have like a legit Civil War cannon that they fire off at different times of the game, after a goal, maybe before the start of the game or whatever.
Yes.
Why would they put the TV crew next to the cannon? Did you ask him that question?
I did. I think they were sick in the head, honestly. No, shout out to Mike Hassett, our director, and Stephen Dorfman, also known as Hoover, our producer, and Eric Bear as well, our pregame producer. I'm sure they all had to decide on a nice location for us to be, and why not be right there? So we were right next to the cannon, and I'll give the home team broadcast credit to. They're also right next to us. So it's not just us that have to go through it, and they're so used to it. And the cannon crew, they're so friendly. A lot of those guys have been doing it for so long. So they'll warn you, they'll kind of like, let you know, oh, it's coming. Like, don't be scared. It's on its way. So when I posted that it had gone off, that was prior to the start of the game. So I'm having fun, I'm laughing. And with X, sometimes people don't check the timestamps. And of course, Kings go on to drop that one to the Blue Jackets. So fans were thinking, she's laughing and it's a goal. And it's like, no, they fired the cannon multiple times. That one was before the game. It was fun before the final score. So yeah, it's loud, it's real, it's a charge that they basically fire, and then there's extra sound the cannon crew were telling me kind of above that really kind of like highlights that and expands on that sound, so it sounds even crazier in person.
Well, good to be back home where the Kings have been so good this year, and most of the games going the rest of the way are going to be at home. So that's great for the Kings and for you as well. But we have this 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off, or is it? Do you get 2 weeks off, or do you have any other assignments you're doing, or is it kind of like a little break for you?
Well, I host for an app. It's called Portal One. It's kind of a hybrid gaming platform, and we have celebrity guests that come through, and we play video games with them, and it's so much fun. So I've been doing that all week, and then I'll actually fly out tomorrow and get to go see my family back home in New England, and we're trying to go to the Four Nations final in Boston. So my husband's over in Montreal right now. He was at the first Four Nations game. He's going to the USA Finland match today, and then he'll kind of go to each game along the way and then meet me over in New England to see my family too. So it is a break. Half of the week is a break, I would say, or half of the entire 2 weeks is a break for me. But man, this Four Nations tournament, it's so special that it's happening. Eddie, I don't know if you got to catch it last night, but my gosh, what a vibe.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that in a moment. And we're just getting started here with LA Kings host and reporter Carrlyn Bathe. Much more to come here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you, unsaturated fats to help you feeling fuller longer. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether you're snacking at your desk or on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that's I knew it. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs the protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. We are with the wonderful Carrlyn Bathe from the Los Angeles Kings, host and reporter. And I was going to ask you, the Four Nations face-off was a very, very cool opening game. And we saw a kind of a fun thing with Adrian Kempe going up against Drew Doughty. And Kempe got a big goal, but Doughty in Canada got the big win. But it's always kind of interesting and fun to see a couple of Kings going head-to-head against each other.
Absolutely. And we've been excited about Adrian joining this tournament for so long because we knew so far in advance, right? But Drew being that last minute addition, it's just kind of threw that extra oomph and kind of incentive for Kings fans to tune in even more. So to get that type of showdown in the first game, it was a delight. And to look up and see that, come on, Drew, I'll call him out right now. You got to get the read on your own teammate there. But no, that's got to be fun. They're competing and representing their countries. And I know for Drew, this was so special, obviously, to represent Canada, which he's done in the past, but he just wanted to keep playing, and for his own benefit, but for the team's benefit as well. And I know that's something we talked about on the broadcast leading up to it, but him skating right now is good for everybody, because think about how many months he was not on the ice. So looking at it like that, it's just even cooler to know, okay, he's getting that much more back to 100% and in his, prime season top condition. So it's such a special tournament. It's really exciting. And it feels like the players are really excited about it. And this isn't a knock on maybe the All-Star game and the All-Star fanfare that usually happens during this time. That's something, that was still appointment viewing. Fans would tune into that. But as a hockey fan, Eddie, aren't you selfishly excited that there is something happening throughout the entire duration of the break? It's not just an all-star game and, the festivities and skills competition beforehand or the day before. It's like a full, almost to the entire duration of the break, hockey tournament, which I just got to believe fans love and the players as well, to go up against some of the best in the world. What's been your take on it? It's so exciting.
Well, I love that they really seem to be genuinely excited about playing in the event. The competition I thought was great for the opening game. They're actually hitting each other, which can be dangerous. And unfortunately, we did see an injury, which is the
Yes.
worst side of this. But just to see real hard competitive hockey. And then, as I'm not Canadian, I know you're half Canadian, but seeing Sidney Crosby and Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon and Connor McDavid on the same power play is it's
Woo!
pretty crazy.
Yes,
Even if
yes.
you're not necessarily rooting for that country or that team,
Yeah.
it's the talent is you just have to respect it. It's amazing.
And Brad
Um,
Marchand getting cheered in Montreal.
yeah, how about that?
That
That
sort of
was a little
thing too.
different.
It's a little different. Yeah, we're seeing some cool things for sure.
Well, normally we'd be talking to you about a game that had just been played or a game that was about to be played. But I did want to ask you about your game day experience. We
Yeah.
had Mikey Alexander on, one of the In Arena hosts, not long ago. And I know you did that job at one time, one of many
Yes.
jobs you've done with the Kings. And I asked him, like, what is your day like? And he said he gets to the arena like 5 hours before the game and talked about all the things they do. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty crazy. What is your it depends on what time the game starts, but generally speaking, what is your game day like when the Kings are playing?
It varies. It really varies. So, first of all, shout out to Mikey and Kayla. They do a phenomenal job. One of the best jobs that is one of the most fun jobs to have in the world. Jay Flats and I he did it for so many seasons. I did it for 3 seasons with him, but my gosh, it takes a lot of energy to do his job, and it's one of the most fun in the whole world. So shout out to the two of them first. But my game day, it's a little bit different because I am trying to work and, get game day ready, and I'll have to kind of gamble on what I am doing in the morning. So, there's a morning skate on the day of the game, and if it's an optional skate, I'll have to go to the practice the day before and kind of get all of my notes and recordings and talk to different players. They have us talk to the coach. So you gather, and then the afternoon of a game is just kind of spent going through everything you have and picking out the most timely things that you want to talk about, kind of curating your stories so for the day and for the night. And then you have to speak with your producers about what they need and what they want to put in the show. And then my arrival time depends on if there's a walk-in interview. So sometimes they see those pre-recorded interviews that are at the backdrop. Those are happening when the players are walking in around 4:45 p.m. So that's kind of a general arrival time if, I'm interviewing a player that early, and maybe around 5 o'clock for a 7:30 game if I'm not interviewing a player. And it's so hard I don't want to complain about being a girl, but it's so hard to do hair, makeup, fake eyelashes, wash, blow dry, all of that, pick the perfect outfit. So that embarrassingly takes like 2 hours out of my day. So I
Wow.
always have to kind of bake in that sort of time. So I don't know what Mikey's beauty secrets are, but I'm sure, it takes, some time for him to do his hair and stuff, but not the eyelashes, all of that. So there's a really sweet picture of myself, Blake Bolden, Kayla Knierim, and Anna Connolly, all of us, girls that work in the Kings realm, in the bathroom the other day before the game, just like doing last minute curls, like putting on eyeliner. And I'm like, ladies, this is special. Like, look at us just doing this. Like, nobody else has to go through that. So that takes up an abnormally large amount of my day. But yeah, just prepping and being up to date with everything. I listen to a lot of podcasts. So Eddie, I listen to yours every single day. It's
Thank you.
funny. The tagline, first listen of the day. It's true. I don't know if that's like a subliminal thing y'all put in everyone's heads, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
it
it's
works.
working. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
working.
it works. Locked On Kings. Okay. And yeah, it's a lot of listening. And then I listen to away teams podcasts too, because their point of views are very interesting. So while I may think I know, okay, here's the stats, here's where they are, here's who their top players are, here's, what they've been going through, there's their injuries. You listen to their podcasts and you learn so much more. I'll never forget going into Vancouver and kind of getting caught up to date with just their locker room
drama.
happenings
Yeah.
and the drama. Yeah. And then you have to choose what you want to talk about because I don't want to get too long-winded here, but game day prep for when I'm reporting is much different from when I'm hosting. So when I'm hosting, there's more extensive prep about the other team and kind of their inner workings. And when we were prepping for Vancouver, I was kind of having a conflict of what to say because I have not personally talked to their players about what's been going on. You read the drama, you have to filter through that and decide, is this coming from a journalist? Is this, a fan's perspective? What do you take from that? And how do you present it to our fan base? So before information gets to our fan base, I try to filter that and have it come from sources that I trust or have spoken to myself. And with that comes a lot of audio digesting, going through and transcribing. There's a lot of good apps now that do it for you, so you don't have to write it down by hand, but transcribing my own interviews and kind of getting that information for everybody. So I love information and I love being able to deliver the correct information. So I can't just all willy-nilly go on air and be like, there's a lot of stuff going down in Vancouver, Daryl. Will you hear about that? Like, you've got to kind of filter it and really be careful about what you say and how you deliver it.
You mentioned interviews. Obviously, you do a lot of player interviews. Is there a certain player that you really enjoy talking to? Is there a certain player who really likes talking to the media? Is there a certain guy who's really into that, or is it just kind of part of their job? And how do they get picked? Do you ask, can we talk to this player? Are they selected for you, or how does that work?
That's a great question. It's all kind of in concert with LA Kings PR. So Sean and Justin, who kind of run the floor level, like day-to-day operations with ourselves and the players, they're the direct link between the broadcast, the writers, the media, any questions you have, anything you need, any asks for these types of interviews, they go through them. And sometimes they go through our producers when it's a game day related interview. Our producers are requesting them from PR. So I'll give you a couple different scenarios and then I'll talk about my favorites, but it varies. So on a walk-in interview, our producer is coordinating that with PR and kind of selecting a player. And in the NHL broadcast handbook, it tells you, this amount of time, you have to request them beforehand. It can't be, within 5 hours, it's got to be within this 24-hour period. There's all these kind of rules that we have to follow that you start to just learn and it becomes second nature. So we're usually getting those requests in overnight and you try to pick them to be game related. So, we will pick Kopitar because he had that milestone goal that surpassed Dave Taylor. And it was talking about Trevor Lewis, his longtime teammate, is finally getting to celebrate his 1000th game. So that was an easy pick for our on the bench interview for the broadcast. So that gets chosen well in advance. And then the intermission interviews, you can't really choose those well in advance. So PR will come down from wherever they are. If they're up at press level, they'll come downstairs. We're on the ground level. We've got just kind of a dialogue going back and forth. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it'll be 0-0. Sometimes the Kings will be down by 2. And you're trying to choose somebody that can offer some insight and also kind of playing with the psychology of it, because you don't want to take anybody out of the game. You don't want to talk to anybody that maybe just took a penalty that led to a goal. You don't want to talk to anybody that is maybe not playing their best game. So you look at the stats. We're literally, Justin and I or Sean and I will be going, okay, Kempe's got 5 shots on goal. He had 4 minutes of power play time. They're still down by 1, but I feel like he's our best option because he's trying. You kind of literally are deciding in those moments, and we'll decide with about 5 minutes left to go in each period. And then you get on your microphone or you tell your stage manager, talk to your producer in the truck, tell them who it is, and then they tell the graphics guy, and the graphics guy gets the graphic ready. So, or graphics person, excuse me, because we have women in the truck as well. So it's a lot of steps, and it just looks like boom, it's on your TVs. So it's a lot of fun. I love the in real time decisions; those are a lot of fun for me. And in terms of favorites, I can't pick favorites, Eddie. It's like picking a favorite child. I don't even have kids, but I feel like that's what it would feel like. But I love all of them. They are all so good. We have such a good team right now, such a good, open and communicative team. All of them are down for an interview. It's been easy. It's been so great this season, and like I'll say favorite though, I love Adrian Kempe. I really do. And this isn't a knock on anybody else. It's just because I feel like somebody please go do the stats on this. Every time I speak to him, if it's in an intermission or at a walk-in interview or at a bench interview, I feel like he gets a point in the game. I don't know if that's just like coincidence because he's one of the team's top point producers or what, but yeah, he's one of my favorites, and I feel like I want the stats on that for sure. But they're all great. They're all so great.
All right, we still have a little bit more time with Carrlyn Bathe here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor makes eating easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences each week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's a calorie smart, protein plus, or keto meal. Plus, Factor also offers smoothies, breakfast, and grab-and-go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. I love how Factor takes the stress out of meal planning. It's convenient and unbeatable. No prep, no mess, just great food in minutes. Eat smart with Factor. Just get started by going to factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL 50 off. Use the code LockedOnNHL 50 off, and you'll get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That is the code LockedOnNHL 50 off at factorsmeal.com/LockedOnNHL 50 off to get 50% off and free shipping on your first box. All right, we are wrapping it up with Carrlyn Bathe. Once upon a time, a member of the Kings Ice Crew, and worked herself all the way up to her current role as Kings reporter and host. And Carrlyn, you mentioned Adrian Kempe has a child on the way. We've already had 3 players with
Yes.
children this year coming into the world: Joel Edmondson, Kyle Burrows, and most recently Darcy Kemper. And you, Carrlyn, are the child of a former NHL player. Frank Bathe played 224 games as a defenseman for the Red Wings and the Flyers. What was the most unique thing about being the child of a pro hockey player? Or did you even realize that it was something that was unique at the time?
That's so funny you ask it that way, because I didn't know. I had no idea. And my dad is the most humble man alive, will not boast, will not brag ever. Also one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. He was not playing in the NHL when I was growing up. So my oldest 2 brothers got to experience, living and going to games and kind of having that NHL lifestyle. And I'm one of 5, so the rest of us, if there's 2, so the other 3 of us, we didn't get to really experience that. So, but growing up, he was still very much involved with hockey. So he was working for the Portland Pirates at one point, and they had won the Calder Cup in the early 90s. And that was kind of my earliest hockey memory. And I didn't realize, running around on event level with like free popcorn and just like hanging out and like bopping into the locker room and like chatting with the security guards. I didn't realize that that was unique and that other kids didn't get to do that. And then, he would take us to Bruins games, and we'd be sitting like upstairs in some suite or something. And I'm just oblivious, completely oblivious of like, oh, this is because of the people my dad knows or whatnot. It's just, he would never tell me that. So I'm just like, yeah, everybody goes to the Bruins game and gets, the dessert cart gets rolled up or whatever. Like, no, it just, I never knew. And I feel like in elementary school, maybe middle school, other people knew because he's such a, friendly person, and we come from such a small town in Scarborough, Maine, and everybody knew who my dad was. So it started to get to me that like, yeah, your dad played in the NHL, and I'm like, I don't understand that, but okay. And yeah, it was funny. And now I'm like, in hindsight, just I admire him so much, and speaking with different people around the league, I think this is the best part about my dad having played is there are so many people that still work in hockey, that worked in hockey during his time, that remember him or played with him and are working in hockey, either coaching or at higher levels, kind of in different staffs. And it's the best thing to walk into arena and see someone that wants to chat and reminisce and see how my family's doing. And I never got to grow up with these people. Like, that's the cool thing about my dad having played, and something that I will cherish forever. So it's so freaking cool. But yeah, I had no idea growing up.
Yeah, the NHL community is very close knit and a lot smaller than you might think. It's been really interesting being a small part of it as well.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you. Normally, we talk about, like I said, a Kings game or a Kings game coming up, so we still have a little ways. But real quick, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the Kings are back in action, and then the next day on Sunday, February 23rd, they're having this skate for LA Strong game.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you had any details on that. If you know if you're having any part in that, is it going to be streamed or televised, or is it just something that fans that are there are going to be able to experience?
Yeah, so it's something so it's taking place on February 23rd, 3 p.m. Pacific time is the start time, and they're celebrating and supporting the fire recovery efforts in Los Angeles. It was how it was put, and they're basically having NHL alumni. There's local first responders that will be there. There's musical performance that are yet to be announced, and there are going to be a lot of broadcasters. There's entertainment figures. Some of the names they announced, which are so exciting: Danny DeVito, Will Ferrell, Vince Vaughn. And this is all a fundraising effort as well. So people are going to be kind of coming together for this to celebrate hockey and Los Angeles, right? But all of the efforts in fundraising will benefit the LA Fire Relief Fund. And it's just something that is going to be something you want to tune in and watch, and there will be a televised version of it. And I believe I have it right here. Hold on. It's going to be aired on multiple national local media platforms, including, all right, Kings fans, listen here, ESPN2, ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, Hulu, True TV, Sportsnet, FanDuel Sports Network, KCAL TV,
Wow.
Pluto TV, Samsung TV Plus. Woo! And so it will be on televisions. And the goal is to have families, local law enforcement, first responders in attendance. And I don't know if you saw the concert that happened where they had that same similar sort of attendance, where they were having people that, are displaced or just going through it right now in Los Angeles come and attend and kind of take their minds off something. Much like the concert that just happened in LA, that will be a similar type of attendance at crypto.com arena. And I know firsthand just how special the Kings are looking to make this. And the team is so very much involved. I've seen, people running around on phone calls trying to confirm guests and taking time out of their everyday duties, which are a lot of duties, let me tell you, to see them kind of step aside and put work toward this to make this the best thing possible for the LA community and to support the fire relief efforts. It's going to be really special. It's what I can tell you. And I will be there in some capacity. I can't share yet. So it's something that, I will be there in some capacity, and more of like a pre-game type of scenario, not so much a during the game type of scenario.
All right. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. And Carrlyn, we really appreciate your time. Always great to get a chance to catch up with you and get your insights on what's going on with the LA Kings. So thank you so much. If you guys want to follow her on X, Twitter, Instagram, she is at Carrlyn Bathe. And thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Eddie. This is always a blast. Let's not make it a year next time. We'll do like a half year later. to know. Whenever you need me, this was so much fun.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we'll see you out at crypto.com arena here very soon with the LA Kings back in action. Thank you.
Go Kings, go.
All right. That is the wonderful Carrlyn Bathe. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Do want to let you know that coming up on tomorrow, our Friday fan feedback show, every Friday, it's your chance to get a chance to sound off on whatever is going on with the LA Kings. If you want to send an email for that, the email address lockedoneddie@gmail.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can leave your comments there as well. You can stay connected with the show, X, Twitter, Instagram. We're at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you as always for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, as Carrlyn said, go Kings, go.